Okay, I realize this video is probably about 3 months late, but didn't really expect to have to do something like this. So basically, I've noticed that in the community there's been a lot of this particular kind of sentiment being spoken about Railjack, which I just find to be completely and utterly wrong, completely and utterly false. So here we are in the dock. So I'm going to go up to the little noggin that you have to go to in order to configure your Railjack. And what I'm seeing a lot from people is, to build a Railjack, it's really simple. All you gotta do is just put in the best-in-class damage per second avionics, the best-in-class health, armor, shield, and that's pretty much it. You're good to go. Oh, building a Railjack, it's so easy. So that's not entirely true. As you may know, this is how I have built the Catherine Gaza. I've basically showed this many times. There are definitely things in this build that nobody would ever consider the quote-unquote meta way of building. For example, I am only using Lavan bulkhead instead of Z-key bulkhead, of which I actually have. So I do have Z-key bulkhead, I just don't bother to use it. There are other things such as Hyperstrike, i.e. Z-key Hyperstrike, which I don't have, nor do I use because I don't have it. Instead, on occasion, I would choose to use Lavan Hyperstrike, but I don't even have it on this build in this present moment because I've actually decided to not even bother with using that particular avionic. So, what happens if we actually try to do the things that is often said in various forums? What if we actually build our Railjack by just using the best-in-class hull, best-in-class damage over time, best-in-class speed, and all of that jazz? Well, we can't do best-in-class damage over time because, again, I don't have Z-key Hyperstrike. But let's have a look. So here we have an entirely empty Avionics Grid, and again, this is with my Vida Reactor Mark III, which, by the way, is a plus 100 avionics capacity Vida Reactor. So that is going to give us the most amount of avionics capacity to work with. Okay, awesome. So here we go. Best in class health. So we have that. Awesome. Best in class armor. So I don't exactly have a best in class armor because that is a Z-key hull weave. Now, apparently I had one before, but I don't think I have it anymore. I may have gotten rid of it by accident, but the best in class that I have at the moment is the Vida hull weave, so let's use that. Now we're also going to use best in class shields, so let's type in shields, and we have the Z-key Maxima. So there we go, and we also have the best in class for shield recharge, which is Z-key anode cell. I believe there may be a Vida anode cell, but that does not appear to... Oh, there is. That's actually the worst in class, apparently. That's actually... No, it isn't, actually. That's second best in class. That's actually kind of hilarious that this is actually better than this. Anyway, point is, we have the Z-key anode cell. Okay, awesome. So now we have our best-in-class health, best-in-class armor, or at least the better-in-class armor, and best-in-class shield and best-in-class shield recharge. Awesome. Now, what if we go for our best-in-class damage? So, we're going to go for Hyperstrike. Now again, I only have Lavan Hyperstrike. I do not have either Vida or Z-key Hyperstrike, so we're just going to be using Lavan Hyperstrike. Vida / Z-key Hyperstrike, I believe, is a 13 drain avionic, so it's going to be even heavier than this, but that's okay. This is actually going to demonstrate more the point of this entire video to begin with. Okay, awesome. Now, some people have also said you're going to want to use the best-in-class speed, so we're going to use our Lavan High Ion Burn, and we're also going to be using our Lavan Conic Nozzle. So, there we go. And then finally, for the last two, we'll probably want to go for best-in-class Polar Coil, because that's going to give us more, in theory at least, that's going to give us more bullets to use if we're using, say, the Carcinox, or more shots to fire if we're using, say, a Z-key Cryophin, for example. So we're going to be using that. And for the final one, we'll probably want to use something like either Z-key Forward Artillery or Z-key Warhead, which I do not have, so we're going to use Z-key Forward Artillery to have the best-in-class Forward Artillery Cannon, for those of us who actually like to use a Forward Artillery Cannon. But basically, I think this would demonstrate what someone would call a best-in-class quote-unquote easy mode meta build, except it's not, because we have 25 avionics capacity left. That's going to be a huge problem. And why is that? It's because we need to then fit 3 tactical avionics and 3 battle avionics, otherwise we're going to be having a snooze fest, especially if we're not going to be using 3 battle avionics. At least that's my personal opinion, okay? If you, for some reason, don't find yourself falling asleep when you're not using any battle avionics, okay, good for you. I applaud that. I actually find that rather strange, but okay, awesome, good for you. So, how much does a tactical avionic cost? Well, even if we just use the cheapest of tactical avionics, fire suppression, breach quanta, battle forge, these 3 tactical avionics only cost 8 drain. Awesome, let's just use all 3. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Boom, we're out of avionics now. So when you use a best-in-class kind of build, you're going to have to compensate by not having something. You're going to have to be missing something, i.e. you could be missing battle avionics, or if we take our tactical avionics away, we actually can't fit enough battle avionics to begin with, because each super avionic is a 10 drain, so there goes void hole, and then the next one is going to be an 8 drain for your offensive battle avionics. We can't even fit that already, and even with... Oh no, we can actually, sorry, my bad. So we put that in there, but then we can't fit... Well, we can actually fit a defensive avionics, so that's really, really good. But that's it. It's the same idea with the tactical avionics. Suddenly, we have no space to put any tactical avionics. So if you're going to really go that ham, and that's, by the way, using just Vidar Hull Weave and using just Levan Hyperstrike. If we actually fit Zetki Hyperstrike, Zetki Hull Weave, we can't even fit one of these. It's that simple, because those avionics are extremely heavy, and that's the point. Building an avionics grid for a Railjack is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be this sort of tug and pull, a sort of give and take kind of thing. It's the same with building a warframe. You don't get to build a warframe by just putting every single power strength mod on it and then thinking that you could actually just do everything in the world, because you're going to run out of energy. You're also going to run out of power duration. You're also going to probably run out of a little bit of strength, because you don't want to use something like overextended. That's for building a warframe. When it comes to building a Railjack, it's a little bit easier because we don't have any corrupted avionics at this particular present time, but simply going for the best in class for bulkhead, for hyperstrike, for hull weave, hell, even Maxima, anode shell, ion burn, conic nozzle, these things just simply won't fit into your avionics grid if you intend to also have some battle avionics to keep yourself awake, and some tactical avionics so that you don't, for example, get overwhelmed by fires, you know? So that's the thing. A lot of people may be building their avionics grid to be like this, and then they don't have any tactical avionics, and because they don't have any tactical avionics, they don't have fire suppression, and they don't have fire suppression, therefore they are actually getting affected by fires. They feel like their ship is, according to Steve, constantly sinking, which I find is a very strange concept, and therefore they complain that Railjack, let's say, is aggressively anti-solo player because they're constantly overwhelmed by fires, when in fact fire suppression continues to exist. So that's basically it. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. How do you build your Railjack? Again, how I build my Railjack is quite simply this. Let me just get rid of all of these avionics, and I will just simply build like this. I put speed as my top thing, but I also know that I don't necessarily need to use Levan Ion Burn, which is this one right here, because it is a lot of extra avionics capacity being used for a rather small amount of extra boost speed. So instead I use Zetki Ion Burn. That's why, okay? And then I believe I have some form of polar coil, which is not actually the biggest one possible. It is actually the Levan polar coil. I like to keep it nice and simple because this one is 6 drain for 56%, whereas Zetki is 11 drain for 66%. Again, same idea as the Ion Burn. It's a lot more avionics cap for a rather minimal amount of extra boost. But that's the idea with using these avionics. Do you want to use a weaker but ultimately more efficient avionic, or do you want to go whole ham and use a better avionic? With conic nozzle, I could potentially just use a Vidar conic nozzle because apparently I don't have a ZK conic nozzle, but that's going to be massively different, okay? That's the idea. And then for my ship's hull, I'm just going to not use Z-key bulkhead. Again, I'm only going to use Levan bulkhead. And I will still use Vidar hull weave. That will remain the same, so that's fine. In terms of damage, I actually didn't use Hyperstrike at all. So my damage is actually more based on the warhead, which I'm actually going to use Levan warhead instead of Vidar warhead because it's actually a lot less avionics strain for teeny tiny difference. So same idea as both Iron Burn and Polar Coil, but with the forward artillery I have decided to use the Z-key forward artillery because it is, compared to say the Vidar forward artillery, it is a bit more drain, which I can actually hold on to for a giant amount of boost in damage. So if anything, I think if DE really wanted to do something about tactical avionics, or rather integrated avionics, they really should have just given Vidar forward artillery a buff so that it actually could be a little bit better than Z-key forward artillery when you put the drains together. Does that make sense? Okay. And then for these last two, I don't even remember what I had. Oh, Revo Reducer, that's what I had, which I think is super duper useful. And then for this last one, let's see if I remember what it bloody was. Oh, Hyperstrike, that's right. And I actually chose to use, was it Vidar Hyperflux? Yes, I actually chose to use Vidar Hyperflux, that's correct. So that I could actually take on that extra amount of avionics capacity for a decent boost in flux energy. That's the reason why, okay? But at the same time, because I am using it this way, I am able to fit Fire Suppression, Void Cloak, Flow Burn. And then for my battle avionics, I could fit Void Hull, Particle Ram, Countermeasures. Boom. Just like that. And that's how I build my ship, and that's why I refuse to use the quote-unquote best-in-class unless I really, really want to. Best-in-class being Conic Nozzle and Forward Artillery. That's the only best-in-class ones I'm using. And I guess Revo Reducer, but there's only one kind of Revo Reducer that exists at this particular point in time. So, anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.